It's possible to say, if I think about people in general, what a person actually wants most. And in a way, is to be happy, it's to feel joy. It's like to be in good feeling. Some people care more about a certain ambition, but most people just, first of all, want to feel happy more than anything. And in a way, this is a frequency of vibration. This is a state of energy. So when we become aware to that sensor, that goal is very applicable. I will start with inviting you to experience something. Yeah, let's do it just like this.
Excuse me.
Let's go into meditation. So find the comfortable way to sit, and yeah, as you feel like, and make sure that you're in a posture that your spine is as relaxed as possible. And if you sit, I invite you to focus on the vertebrates as like a tower of cubes that sit on each other. So you can find that balance that is minimum tension to stay stable. It's maybe changing a little bit the hip, the pillow, the legs, to find it, and sense the body. The body is possible to look at it as the sense organ we have as pure consciousness to sense reality. In a way, the body is the mind in this reality. And let's dive into that. There is a lot of mystery about the body. And through feeling the body, the presence, the existence of the body, I will offer you a perspective of a certain mechanism and how to use it in some ways. Notice when you sense the body, you can feel some parts maybe hold tension, even maybe pain. Some other parts might be numb or inaccessible to the awareness. And some parts might be just awareness is flowing there and there is no tension. Any part of the body would be in one of these three options. I invite you to map your experience of the body. What part is in which category And of course, it is dynamic. It's always changing. At any point, if you feel like a slight adjustment of posture would ease tension or open flow of awareness, just change it to a more accurate position to enhance the presence in the body, the awareness flow. There is no full stillness because we are breathing. So let that movement happen in itself. And whatever other movement comes with it, let it be. Not in enhancing the expression of it, but observing into what attunement of posture it leads you. And in the subtotal of the feeling of body, the center line parallel to the spine is the center of the vortex. I want to invite you,
It's like this.
both directions, up and down,
Yeah, right.
every possible
Uh-huh.
direction at the same time, yet the center line holds most charge.
Right.
The invitation in this is to practice for the cognition to interpret the presence in the body, the feeling of the body, as a field. Let the structure of the body dissolve the normal perception of space, of 3D. Let it melt and feel it like a field. In the center of the core line is the heart. Actually, not the heart itself, but a little part inside the heart. It's a sensor and a generator. It's a collection of nerves that create the pulsation of the heart. Each one have its own unique rhythm and signature of vibration. My invitation and suggestion is for you to learn better the mechanism which through we sense life force, the energy field we are as well. As any organism, and the sun also as a ball of life force. This is an opening of imagination and understanding together for perceiving the body as not just three-dimensional in space, but four-dimensional in a field space. Our center is an electromagnetic field generator. Electromagnetic field have 4 dimensions of freedom of motion, not 3. Whatever movement happens in the body, including breath, let it come from the motion of the flow, of the currency, of the energy. The energy we sense is in a specific spectrum of frequency, which we can call life force. I invite you to sense our presence here together communicating with each other through presence. It doesn't need to be conscious in the other people, but for you to be conscious of the resonance of the field that you are with other fields. Part of the quality of a field is that it doesn't have a defined boundary. It has a center, but no definition of boundary. It's not a particle in a way, it's a wave. Let your body be a wave on the flow. The density of the body into smaller dimensional structure is a subpart. The 3D body is actually the most conductive aspect of the field. It is the conductor. The bones in particular are the hard cable which the energy moves through. Therefore, I invite you to pay attention to the 99 joints which connect all your skeletal bones to be in accurate alignment with each other for the charge to move through more easily, for the body to be more conductive. And of course, the central line, the vertebrates, these 25 joints between the hip bone and the skull, is the most conductive part. The heart is in the center between the hip bone and the skull. Feel the ratio between the rhythm of the heart pulsation, the heartbeat, with your breathing. And now you can play with it in several ways. For example, as an electromagnetic field, gravity works different than how it works on a 3D object. You can sense the hands or the head and the chest being held by the magnetic charge, by the flow of the electric current. When you sense there is a heavy part that needs holding, you can send your heart attention to that part and integrating in the field. That can support in keeping an aligned posture as well. Another. Through the pulsation of the heart and how it ripples through the body. You can imagine the heart as a muscle that receives the electric impulse which brings to it pulsing through the muscle tissue, but the muscle tissue continuing into the arteries. All the arteries are covered with a muscle, echoing the pulse, the resonance into the whole body. That is like a sonar resonance input for the sensor of what we feel in the body. But it gives us intuitive data on the life force field, which is around our presence. This field is all around us and within us. It's not only as if we are like a fish in the ocean of that energy. It's even more abundant than the air around us. It moves through us. Every protein is a conductor of this energy. There is no clear definition of self as a field. There is just a clear center. Intuitively, we are all using that sensor. But this sensor is normally unacknowledged as another actual significant sensor in our cognitive system. This practice is training the psyche to become more aware of this field. Integrating this sensor into our perception of reality and therefore the experience. It is exactly the same as what we experience as emotions. Emotions are the intuitive interpretation of this field, the subjective, the as if it's in me. The invitation of this practice is to observe it objectively as a field, not in me, but part of the shared reality. For a wandering mind, is possible to say this energy is measurable by devices. But we don't need these devices to sense the energy, because it's built in already in our body, the possibility to sense it directly. Feel the feeling in your body. This is that sensor. What emotion do you feel? This is the frequency of the field that is active now. How intensely do you feel now your emotions? This is the degree of the charge, the voltage of the field. How easy for you is to integrate into your perception of the feelings of what is around you, how containable you are to the present experience. This is the amplitude of the vibration. And the fourth is how aligned do you feel the current flow in the body. This is the conductivity. These are 4 dimensions of the field: conductivity, amplitude, charge, and frequency. I encourage you to practice and evolve the habit of perceiving yourself, the object you are, the body, as a field rather than as a volume in space, but as a field, electromagnetic field. And one more thing. perhaps you can experience that too. The field itself is made of matter as well. It's a plasma state of matter, ionized gas. Mostly water ions. We are in a plasma ocean. Every center that generates a frequency, which means every heart pulsation, or even every cell generate a frequency, is part of the planetary field of life force. The pulsation of the heart is a resonance of the pulsation of the core of the planet. Each heart in its unique fractalization from the common core we share as the planet. And one step deeper, the planet as possibly an organ in the solar system. Because the sun is a ball of plasma. It's not gas, no liquid, no matter, no solid, I mean. It's a plasma ball. So it possibly tangibilize for the imagination to imagine our heart as a center of a sun that we are in. We can choose the frequency by intention, as well as the charge by willpower. And also the amplitude by being open for sensing more centers. And as well, we can influence the conductivity by aligning the posture through the positioning of the joints. We can choose, we have that possibility also to influence. For one more minute, I invite you, each one, to focus on generating the vibration you want. And then I will call us back. Slowly, in your rhythm, as much as you can stay in this state while opening your eyes. And weaving the habitual mind in the group space. Whatever gap there will be left between the state you have experienced and where you're coming to now in the group conversation, keep it as a teaser for further practice and exploration of this potential. I want to suggest weaving all your sharings a way to simplify the mechanics of it. And my intention is to make it as tangible as possible, so that would be implied habitually, that the default would be also on the analytical side of cognition, a four-dimensional perception of self and reality. This, of course, have also new applications of how to use this tool which we have as body. And I believe it's for the better in subtotal, especially if it is a common knowledge, not something of one person. Because naturally it will bring to harmonic resonance, to a harmony. When we share the space here, each of our hearts generate a field, exactly as you described. There is a geometry to that field. It's a four-dimensional sphere, basically. But then how to imagine that? So we can access it through the three-dimensional shadow of the four-dimensional sphere. That's easier to begin with. A shadow of a four-dimensional sphere is what is called toroidal sphere. I will test my painting ability. So you can imagine it as a donut-shaped thing. There is one dimension, which is the axis of rotation. Now, there is also the outer circle, which is another dimension. It's cyclical, so it's in a way finite, relative to this as the main axis, that's the main opening to infinity. Now, because it's a donut, we can also imagine then a third dimension would be like the circle around the donut. Mathematically, how it's usually calculated, it's actually one that goes to the other side, and then another one that goes to in 90 degrees to it. But that's mathematically it's easier to calculate in this way, but we can also take it in that way. The donut shape, we can make it
like oval.
Not the oval, but it's the relation between a full ball to the donut. The donut can be with very big hole in the center, or it can be with smaller and smaller hole, and then the outside is getting more and more towards a ball. So it's always in between just a circle, fully thin donut, like and a ball. It can be kind of like another dimension of, in a way that it exists in all the options simultaneously.
Are you relating this to the human avatar?
Yeah. Yeah, not only, every organism, every cell generates such field. And then also a cluster of cells also generate this one field, because electromagnetic field have no clear definition, it can merge to become one. We as a group, as more the resonance of our hearts stay in presence with each other, which means our field interacting more in higher volume than if we would be further. There is a communication, there is influence that affect the frequency we create. And it's naturally coming to harmonic resonance. Our presence influences the environment to become more like us, while our environment influences us to become more like the environment. There is always effect. And this is communicating with every organism, even the bacteria, every cell. And every cell have electromagnetic field, which is in that geometry. Every organ we have a field which is in that geometry, and the whole body as one as well. And also, as a group, we generate a field. Now, this geometry is flexible to some degree, same like if you take a balloon full of air, let's say it's fully ballish, although it's not exactly, but then we can make different pressures and it's a little bit changing its shape because there are external forces. In a way, as a group or as an organ, there is that effect, but it's generally naturally the field have a pull for such structure, and from that place we can also see the planet itself becoming oval. It's part of the thing. I would like in this today also to suggest kind of letting go of the Newtonian view, ontology of reality, of matter, of gravity. It's very functional theory, yet we can go finer. And the fact it's working doesn't mean it's exactly like that. From a Newtonian view also come the concept of an atom with a nuclei and an electron like a planet around it, and it's ideas. What's actually in existence, of course, is a mystery, but there are perspectives that are widening the range of our or widening our applicability. How to say, like, we have more options in reality of how to use this. I can move the hands like with the joints. I can choose, okay, now I'm gonna lift this hand. I can do it, yeah, like the deltoid muscle, lift it. And then I relax and I let gravity take. That's one option how to look at it. And that influences the nature of the movement as well. But I can also perceive myself not as a volume, which means not as a 3D body, as a 4D body, then yes, I can narrow attention to a subspatialar aspect, maybe to say, and do it in this way, but I have another way to move the hand. And if I feel with that sensor actually, but that sensor is the center, it's actually feeling with the whole body, with all where the arteries take the echo of the pulse. It's just the feeling in the body. And I feel like energy, which is basically everywhere, but because I put attention here, I become aware of the energy that is here, with the intention of lifting it. So it's different. It's different. Also, the way I relate to the hand is different. Where am I pulling it from? Well, it's all about where the attention is focused, rather than we have more options of movement in a way. And very functional would be to apply it into the posture of the spine. Because the spine is like this dimension in the field. It's like the storm center of spiral that goes around. As Ragnar asked, the direction, it goes around like this, and like this, and I mean like this up, and like this down as well, and like this up, and like this down as well. It's like all these options, and because also the geometry of a field is in nature, is fractal, which means every field, every electromagnetic field made of cells, little cells of electromagnetic field of the same structure, which each one is made of all the way to the, it's not molecular, but it's ions and electrons into, and that again is a possibly simplified view that there are actually these particles as ions and electrons, because it might be a pattern of a wave that goes infinitesimally into the fractal structure. It's a mystery, but it's enough for us to apply another perspective. So we have many options within the field, like around, like we can have multiple donuts around or within, like in if to take a two-dimensional lattice of the field, there is an influence, but there is a certain geometry in it. And yes, if this one go this way and this one go more this way, so where this meet this, both are going to same direction. It sends more the energy there. We can play through attention. Attention, also an interesting word, attention. There is a release of tension, a discharge basically, towards where attention go. It's a charge difference between the center of I, which for each one of us is the heart. Each one of us is a human or any animal, and where we focus our attention. It can be anywhere where we focus the attention. But what it creates a flow of currency, a discharge. The more we have focus, the stronger the focus, there is a stronger charge potential release. And in that sense, we don't need actually to take it through a three-dimensionality of space with the idea of there is height, width, depth, We don't need that, because when there is a flow of currency, there is already a direction. Now, in relation to it, 90 degrees, there is the circle around. We don't need to define depth, height, and width for it. Now, in the circle around, that's how usually it is simplified to distinguish between the amplitude and the frequency. It's how electromagnetic field distinguish between magnetism and electricity. In the whole, maybe to say, system of the psyche, we have 7 major sensors. 5 are familiar. One of them, like another one, is the pacemaker. Yeah, the what makes the pulse of the heart is a sensor of electromagnetic fields. Every sensor is sensing a different aspect of reality, actually a different dimensional freedom of motion of the shared reality. Another sensor is the pineal sensor. The astral projection involves that as well. And this sensor have a much higher degree of complexity in explaining its mechanics. That's why I didn't think to go fully into it, because this is a very wide topic. And the heart sensor, if to simplify the name, is very important also to activate more the pineal sensor. But my intention in this is actually to bring awareness to that sensor as I see that as a step, like mastering this supports so much mastering the wholeness, because it's much simpler and it's also more crucial in existential sense. And I will explain what I mean by existential sense. We all have heart sensor. We all receive the input. It is the feeling in the body. But because the society the mind is shaped in is not considering that sensor as existing objectively in the shared reality, the way we interpret the input as if it is in me. Like what I hear, when I hear your question, I don't naturally say, it's my sound, or I am what I hear around me. It's like I hear something that is in my environment. But with feeling, if I feel fear, normally we would say, I am afraid. Not I feel fear, I sense fearness. I am. There is identification, because the way we interpret the input is like only the right brain is only intuitive, because we have not evolved a vocabulary to explain it objectively. And because we don't have a clear, reassured, objective view on it, then we tend to identify, to hold on identity to it, and that limits us. That narrows our freedom in a way.
And that's somewhere speaking between 3D and 4D.
It's it's about the heart sensor and the pineal sensor. Both are relevant. The pineal sensor we will not interpret as feelings, like my feeling, or I am afraid, I am happy. We would interpret it as thoughts, as imagination, which also we tend to subjectify it, like absolutely subjectify it, not perceiving it as object. But thought field is way more abstract and complex. The existential importance of this sensor in particular is, it's possible to say, if I think about people in general, what a person actually wants most. And in a way, is to be happy, it's to feel joy, it's like to be in good feeling. Some people care more about a certain ambition, but most people just, first of all, want to feel happy more than anything. And in a way, this is a frequency of vibration. This is a state of energy. So when we become aware to that sensor, that goal is very applicable. And I ideally would have liked all of us, not just here, but as people, as culture, to come to that baseline that we are happy. Now, kind of like, let's catch up to that. And having clarity on the mechanics of it, support sustaining it, and with developing the language to it, which in a way, this is also part of why to share and talk about it. It supports culture to have vocabulary on it, because it's not existing enough for it to be normalized. Happiness is also a specific vibration. If there is attachment to that, it also limits. Yeah. Yet, still most people, I believe, would aim to that. It's, or maybe to say joy or peace. In peace, yeah, it goes finer. There is wholeness in it, something more complete. But eventually, yeah, it's about present awareness. Just to be aware of it. That is the full integration. To be aware of it, but to be aware continuously, there, understanding the mechanism, very support. Because we evolve a habit of thinking that it's become part of the ontological definition, actually. Not without that gap between the physical daily experience and then a spiritual experience, which is like of a different type. It's the normal. It literally matters because it comes in a form of matter, the energy, and yet the more, as you say, becoming conscious, I would say it is the crystallization of awareness. The more it's crystallized, the more clarity. And the more clarity, the more your being inspires other beings to come to that, because the average of consciousness is not going to such perspective, but there needs to be an intention to grow beyond that and hold point for inspiration. at this point.
Crystal is about everything becoming more clear and accurate. Yes, that you precisely knows where your attention consciously is where. Yes.
Also, but also understanding the structure of the mechanism.
The structure is about the donut. The donut
Yeah,
and the
yeah, this is part of the structure, yeah. And
many donuts inside one big donut.
yeah, and electromagnetism, plasma, or sun. Sun is the most dominant expression we have in our experience of a plasma field. Like, because sun is a plasma ball, is a fourth state of matter. It have 4-dimensional freedom of motion. Gas is third state of matter. It have 3-dimensional freedom of motion. Gas, like cloud. Liquid, 2-dimensional freedom of motion. And solid, 1.
Can you repeat? It's about not also about understanding this mechanism.
Yeah, it's
like the sun. Then
it's understanding it. It's that.
Any question?
Yeah, my question is, because what is the most nourishing way to keep practicing this? Because I see that this is every moment, every single moment. But I also, I'm wondering if there is something that can, a practice like meditation, yes, but also within every moment, how to
Ultimately, let's be mindful of every heartbeat, every moment. Ultimately, full embodiment. I would agree that the main work, is our responsibility to our field. It's like to hold the frequency, the amplitude, the charge, and the conductivity of the field. Like, it's our responsibility. The knowledge about it is not the field. The field is the field. The knowledge about it can support. But the main thing about the field is those 4 dimensions. What frequency, what amplitude, what charge, and the conductivity of the denser aspect. And yes, the field is just a substance, is a matter, is not good or bad. The experience of good and bad is relative too. So every subject, same like this is my right and this is my left, but for you is opposite. Same can be with good and bad. And the definition of a good or bad feeling would be by these 4 characteristics of the field we generate, and in relation to what it meets in environment. But as more we learn through knowledge, if to say the field is the matter, so the knowledge is the technology. And technology, we can use it for good or for bad. And I would say it's about wisdom, that choice, because if it's anyway holographic fractal, like we are all connected, there is no really I that is separate because there is no definition. So if I create bad, I experience also more bad. This is not wise. Rather than creating good, I generate betterment, and still it can be perceived by another one differently, but then it goes to nuance, because again, there is no absolute separation, so it would never be absolutely different. To some degree there is similarity, and to some degree there is difference, and it's another way to define distance. I remember I heard a rabbi describing something nicely about the distance between souls, or between hearts, in that sense. Two people can be very, very near each other, but still they can be very far, to such degree that they need to raise the voice so the other would hear me when I say this. But this is exactly the vibe of distance in that aspect. Or to be very near, very there is something more intimate in that. And from that view also, what we usually say very quietly, that
even you don't need to say, just by look, you understand that.
If someone else is receptive to it, but sometimes it can disappear because there is no attentiveness, because it's kind of too quiet in a way. And if someone stands too far, even though it's spatially more near, it is unacknowledged.
I just have the feeling of to really embody the consciousness also means completely changing life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ontologically. Yeah. Yeah. I'm inviting or suggesting a paradigm shift on what is life. From the normal definition, yeah. Yeah, but keeping it is physical. It is physical, but what we know as the physical world, as matter, yeah, we have more possibility of how to perceive it, and there is something very elegant, I find, in dimensionality as the foundation of expansion of the freedom of our imagination. It's very practical, and it's based on logic, as maybe to say the logos is the substance that the pineal sensor perceives. It's the ancient Greek, they defined it as the logos. Is the geometry of the mind of God. How to say? It's possible. It's like the structure, but it is very abstract, and it's having a high dimensionality of freedom of motion. My suggestion is up to 7 or 8 even. So at some point, imagination cannot technically imagine beyond, but 4-dimensionality is accessible. Maxwell, I'm sure you heard Maxwell equations somewhere in your life. It's the one who discovered electromagnetism. I see he supported us significantly in how to really imagine four-dimensionality. It was a major progression in bringing this abstract idea, 4 dimensions, it's just to something concrete. And what is that something concrete? It took him 20 years of doing all kinds of experiments with taking something and doing like this, and then the static electricity that happens, and magnets, and the electric current, and like how the bzzzt. By the way, the thunder is an expression of plasma. So that bzzzt of electricity, when there is that little blue thunder, it's part of it. It's a discharge, a release of a charge. And it took him 20 years to do many experiments until he suddenly saw it. And then he got the Maxwell equations, 4 equations that very elegantly, and very simple equations, but they define the electromagnetic field properties. These 4 characteristics. Charge, it's a way to simplify it, like charge, amplitude, conductivity, and frequency. What opened him to realize is he understood the shape of it. I'm not sure if you all have seen it, either in a video or in school, when you take metal, like iron powder, and you spread it around the magnet, then you get these lines between the north and the south pole of the magnet. You get these meridians of the field. You get the shape of it. The magnet, north and south poles, and then the field is actually the torus, like the donut. And when we get it on paper, we see a flattened, like 2D version of a 3D thing, in a way, possible to say. My encouragement is to just evolve the habit to imagine that movement around the center line, which is like the magnet, the north and south pole. And in the middle of the magnet, there is the heart. The heart generates a pulse, a rhythm. The pulse is actually a nuance of 32 different layers of pulsations, which is 2 in the power 5. It's like potentially, eventually, there is a 5-dimensional input of data from it. This is again abstract. But the field itself is 4-dimensional. And visualizing, just evolving the habit of visualizing the experience of body, the feeling, like feel into your body. Do I want to choose to go there in life or there in life? How do I decide? Oh, feel into your body. When you feel this direction, what do you feel? When you feel that direction, what do you feel? The body gives some input, some data about it. Consciousness might only receive it intuitively and not understanding exactly the mechanism of why, but feeling the body as a field also, it helps it to be less intuitive, or not exactly described, not less intuitive. It helps intuition to be even more precise, less preconditioned by perception of reality that is kind of predefined in a more limited way. A way to apply it, so okay, so I want this direction. I focus my attention on where the will is aiming to. The will is actually possible to imagine it as a cord towards whatever I'm focusing it on. There is a discharge. The stronger my will is, the more charge I can hold. The more conductive my body, of course, the more available energy, the less resistances I have in my system. This is a part of the practice. Now, the frequency and the amplitude, I want to add two things, like on these two things, something. Frequency is very easy if we parallel the electromagnetic field to electromagnetic wave. Electromagnetic wave is what we call light, for example, is electromagnetic wave. What's the difference between a field and a wave? A field have a center. It's not exactly defined, but it have a center. A wave don't have a center. It's infinite in a way. The field is made of waves. But what holds the field is the electromagnetic tension of the ions. There is matter in it. What holds the wave, there is no matter to that. There is no ions. It's way more subtle substance. It's light. It's a whole nother category, and it's way more complex in its manifestation, but one of its manifestation of light is a field. It's one of the options. And every organism is actually a densification of light into a field. It's possible to say it like that. Mm-hmm. Although the sun is also a field, but every organism is also, it's becoming a field of light in this frequency range of life force. Now, frequency range, also light, the visible light, is a part of the spectrum, and there is gamma rays and radio waves, like there are many different frequencies, but in the perceivable range, we can see colors. Same with life force. In the perceivable frequencies of the field, it's like colors, but the way we experience it is as different emotions. So that is about the frequency. And actually, this can open more applications, and also I find it interesting in how it relates to specific organs in the body as holding a resonance that is harmonic to specific colors of the field, specific frequencies, specific emotions. It's all the same. For example, fear or happiness or anger or sadness, or also I will include in that what we experience as sexual energy. It's another frequency. This frequency is the longest wave we can perceive of the field, which means it is, in a way, least amount of energy needed for us to feel it. But there is something in the quality of that frequency. It is somewhere in the infrared range, which is the longest wave we feel. This is a frequency that maybe it would be too technical, but maybe for some of you it would, on the quantum level, this frequency is what's supporting organic rings to stay stable, to keep the hydrogen contacted to it, which means maybe it prevents free radicals to attach to proteins. It keeps the shape of the proteins more in its spiral structure, in the conductive structure of it. When a free radical molecule, I guess you heard about it, that it's not healthy and stuff. When a free radical, what it does is a molecule that is pulling electron, and it just attached to the protein like a magnet, and it a little bit bends the protein. It affects the shape of it. In every connection of two atoms, there is a certain amount of energy. That's how quantum physics started. It's like this electron have exactly this amount of energy. When an electron with exactly that energy come, it stabilizes the protein. It become immune to free radicals. So, in a way, another way to say, it keeps the organism more vital. It's very, very healthy. In even more simple words. It's we take antioxidants as a anti-aging thing and stuff, but this frequency is anti-aging. It's like more direct than any chemical we would eat, actually, I would suggest. The thing is, because this frequency is increasing conductivity, the more conductive the body is, more energy will move, so the potential charge is higher, and then if we're not staying in flow, if we contract, so we can hold stronger charge against it, and that becomes more dense, more contraction in that sense. So, what's important when we, yes, let's meet that energy more, but let's make sure it is in harmonic resonance, and that we don't collapse with the charge into its inability to discharge, into the stagnation of the energy, to contraction. And to keep harmonic resonance, we need to use the direct sensor that perceive all the frequencies, perceive light directly, and not only specific color, but light itself. And we can parallel the sexual energy frequency to red color, for example. But then we have other colors with shorter waves, which means to the same amount of light, there will be more energy, more and more energy. Red have least energy, but it supports the energy to intensify, the body to conduct. in a way, we can as well equivalate it to the sexual organ that is responding, the erectile tissue, if to precise more, is the part in the body that responds to that frequency. To every other color, there is a different organ that responds to. That's part of the thing. You're familiar with the kidneys for fear and the liver for anger, and so on. Like these two actually filtering these two from the system. And yet, these are colors. So it's possible to say each one of the organs is perceiving specific color, but the heart is perceiving light itself. And that's why it's important, yes, to include that, but this is also the center where we direct our attention from, not this or any other. A physiological connection is, we have the vagus nerve that goes from the brain and nerving all the inner organs, all the way to the sexual organs, the intestine, the lungs. But its main function is receiving input from the tissue around the pacemaker of the heart. That's its main function. Person, every animal you meet, the heart already communicates. Usually even before you see each other. The hearts are communicating. The first feeling you get about someone is already part of the communication.